Well, hello and welcome to Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. It's great to see you. We have been thinking about arguments that prove the existence of God, and we have looked at the cosmological argument. What I'd like you to do is to think about this question: God exists. We did this a couple of lessons back. What do you think the best arguments that prove that God exists are? Pause me now, have a think, maybe send a message to someone on WhatsApp or Messenger. While you think about that, here's our cheesy intro music. Okay, so our title is What is the Design Argument? What is the design argument? As always, write the title, date and underline it, please. Our learning objective is to explore how the design argument may prove God's existence. And we're going to see whether this is actually better than the cosmological argument with all of its failings. So it's going to be good if we can explain what the design argument is. Great if we can explain how the design argument may prove God's existence, and even better if we can evaluate whether it's a good argument or not. Like last time, we're going to spend a couple of lessons on this one. It's a little bit more straightforward as an argument, but does that mean it's any more effective? What we are going to do during today's lesson is we've got a media clip I'm going to show you. There's some information, a worksheet, some pictures, and then noughts and crosses to end with. So what I'm going to do is show you a little extract from something that I use with my A-level classes. I think it's brilliant. This is by a bloke called Hank from Crash Course Philosophy. It's a really good way of showing you what the design argument is about. So I'd like you just to watch this for a moment, please.
But Paley used it to talk about God in what's known as the watchmaker analogy. He asked us to imagine what we would think if we found a watch on the ground. Would we imagine that the watch simply appeared randomly, spontaneously on its own? Or would we see the complexity of it and notice that its parts seemed to come together in a particular way in order to accomplish a goal? If so, wouldn't we think that the watch must have been made by someone on purpose? Paley was arguing that the teleology demonstrated by a watch would lead us to conclude that it was designed by an intelligent creator with a particular end in mind. Teleological means goal-oriented or purposeful, and we can easily pick out the teleologies of man-made objects. Got a mug here as an example. It was created with a particular teleology in mind. It was designed to hold a liquid without leaking. It's got a handle put here deliberately in such a way that human fingers could easily fit into it, and its composition is such that it will keep the liquid inside warm without burning the hand that holds it. We wouldn't assume that a coffee cup would simply come to be exhibiting such perfect design for its particular function without someone having created it that way on purpose. So in the same way that the teleology of a cup implies the existence of a cup maker and that of a watch implies the existence of a watchmaker, Paley saw teleology in the world and assumed from that God's existence. He continued his analogy by comparing a watch to a living organism. Look at the complexity of the human body. Heart and lungs working together, producing sweat to keep ourselves from overheating, transforming food into energy. We're just generally amazing all around. Look at how elements of the natural world operate according to complex laws that sustain a beautiful natural harmony. Paley said that this couldn't possibly just have happened any more than the design of a pocket watch could just have happened. There must be a designer. If you accept this analogy, then you agree with Paley that just like the purposefulness of a watch compels us to believe in a watchmaker, the purposefulness of the world compels us to believe in a world maker, God. And you might think this is a fantastic argument. It might even be what motivates your own belief in God. There are lots of people who say things like sunsets and babies show them that there must be a designer God.
Okay, so this design argument is also known as the teleological argument. It comes from William Paley. Can you make some notes as we go, please, ladies and gentlemen? It's to do with the watchmaker analogy. An analogy is a picture story. The argument goes something like this. if you're walking along a beach and you saw a watch, you didn't know what a watch was, but you saw it, you would assume it had a creator because it does something. It's different than a rock. Paley says that the world is like that. The world is like that pocket watch. It does things. It clearly has a creator. It's been designed as a result of a careful design, and it has a purpose. What do you think about that argument? Is it a good argument or is it a poor argument? Give it a go now. Just make a few notes of what you think initially. Okay, so what I need you now to do is to use the description below and to access that link, and you will see a worksheet in there about the design argument. I'd like to spend 20 minutes or so going through that and doing it in as much depth as you can. Pause me and come back to me. So, just a little recap for you. If you already got this done, don't do it again, but it's a nice little picture way of doing it. Draw a watch and a rock, label it, and explain what Paley thought about them. Give yourself 5 minutes, let's get a really nice picture of a watch. And a really good picture of a rock, if you can. It's quite hard to draw rocks, but I'm sure you can send them in. Okay, so this then is really leading up to our final activity. I know it's not been a lot of input from me today, but you've covered actually quite a lot, and we're going to spend a second lesson on this analogy as well. So what I need to do is you need to explain the link between the watchmaker analogy and God as creator. So what I need is one big sentence that explains the link. I then need one sentence to say why you think it works, and one sentence where you think there might be problems with this. If you wanted to look at this anymore, then have a look for the Intelligent Design Crash Course Philosophy on YouTube, because it goes into it in a lot more depth. Definitely A-level standard, but it's also very, very accessible. I'm going to leave it there for the day. Thanks very much for your time. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, wash hands, God bless you. And I'll see you next time for some of the issues with this argument.